Hey guys, this is Jason
This is
Douglas.
Adam MacArthur, voice of Yuji Itadori.
This is Derek Snow, the voice of Shinra Kusakabe.
This is Phil Parsons, voice of Kenny the Ripper Ackerman.
It's Merc Nguyen. You're watching Voice of the Heroes. Take it away, Flea Boy.
What's good, everybody? You already know who it is and what it is. And if you don't, it's the one and only one Flea Boy Jetson. And you're watching Voice of the Heroes. So if you're tuning in for the first time, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, click that notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming interviews or discussions with your favorite heroes and villains from around the world. And today we got a very special guest. He is Troy Burrows, the leader of the Power Rangers, the Red Ranger from Megaforce and Super Megaforce. Let's welcome Andrew Gray to the show. How you doing?
With that kind of energy, are you sure you didn't invent the light bulb or what?
Hey man, I wish I did. I wouldn't be here now, man. I'd be somewhere.
I don't need a blue check. I mean, if you verified me, shoot, that's all I need. I love it, man. Thank you so much for having me. Let's fly.
Well, we're happy to have you, man. We definitely doing big things on the channel with the 30th year anniversary of the Power Rangers movie. So shout out to all the heroes that requested some of your favorite Power Rangers. Hey, let's talk about it. The debut of Power Rangers Megaforce was actually the 20th year anniversary of the franchise. So what was your reaction when you found out you was playing the Red Ranger and the leader of the team?
It actually came as a surprise to me because they keep so many things on wraps. It was very vague. I didn't even, when I auditioned for it, my character wasn't named Troy, he was named Reese. It was an audition style that I've never been involved with before, meaning it was very like American Idol style. Everybody who had a number on. And we met near Santa Monica, and we were there for 2, 4, 6 hours. You know, I walked in a room with like number 99365 on it or something like that. And I saw all these guys in red t-shirts, and you can hear them in there going, pretty much understanding everyone's series they grew up on, because it'd be like Geo, Turbo, Jungle Fury, and I just brought a lot of energy, just like you did on the intro. And I believe that's what they need. They need a through line of energy to carry it. I believe there's also things that I brought to the table that were different and nuanced that other Rangers hadn't, which in my opinion was bringing stoicism into it, bringing cool, calm collectiveness as much as possible, and also having moments of energy of disappointment, frustration, and even anger. And for me personally, I do enjoy this. It's not a tip in the hat of ego on craft. It's more of what I was aiming to do. I took a risk and it hit a lot of people, but not when they watched it, maybe when they were 10, 11, 12, but when they were circling back for nostalgia, which is like a way back home, right, in memory. And now they're 18, 20 years old, and they're like, bro, oh, I missed this. Like, you were composed, bro. And these guys were like in your face, and everybody else was like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, that's what leaders are. If I was all like, blah, blah, like everybody else, I wouldn't even expect my team to be there. They'd be like, Beow! You know what I mean? Who's going to hold the line? So with that being said, now going into the 30th year and 10 years later, we'll see where it goes. I hope it goes to fans' expectations. I hope they don't compare it. That's a thief of joy. And if they don't like it, I pray that the new generation enjoys it and it molds with them and it sticks with them for their lifetime. So when they look back on it 10 years later, they look at it like a Will Ferrell comedy. Like, dude, when I watched it, all the messages. But I watch it now, thank you so much, It's like Will Ferrell, right? You watch his movies, you're like, I missed that joke, that joke. I was way too young for that joke.
Yeah,
do you remember
definitely.
Ace Ventura when he's like, I can't remember. He's like, I found your dog or something like that, and he's like, oh, what can I do for you? And he's like, fill up my car premium. And she's like, how about I just go down on you instead? And he's like, sure. Like that when I was a kid, like completely went over my head.
Yeah,
when I rewatched it as an adult, I was like, dude. Ace Ventura is wild,
Yeah, Jim Carrey.
So I have hopes. I always have positive hopes. I always like to point out the positive with new management, let's just say. But that's another thing that I hope that the Power Rangers have grown in maturity to understand that when somebody buys an intellectual property, they can do whatever they want with it. They can turn it into a lowrider. They can turn it into a drag racer. They can turn it into a transformer. It's theirs. They're going to give, of course, the audience the colors, the maybe the feel, maybe the bum, 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 but everything else is going to be different. It's for the next generation. And I just hope that they reintroduce it with a new team. That's the beautiful thing about Power Rangers. I mean, let's be honest. We know what the Saban did, and it's genius in the beginning. Why? Because there's less risk involved. When other investors, personal investors, and you're pulling out loans and you're taking risks and flying across the world, you need to do something that's going to break the mold and stand out. He did that. Now let's see if Percy Jackson person can do. And I'm not talking about replacing somebody's of ethnicities or sex. Basic, do better. So again, I hope is all I can do. Let's bring something new there. I loved what they actually had for Megaforce, which was angels in Japan. Bro, I'm just gonna show you right now. I had to bring it back. I was talking to some local artists and just people, and they brought it back. Look at this.
Yeah, that's tough.
That's bad.
That is tough. I'm not even gonna lie. That is actually fire.
And so I hope they do something that's going to be unique,
Stand out and be unique.
stand out, something that's going to be uplifting, something that's going to be positive, something that's not about controversy, man, something that's not about chaos, something that's not about, you know what I mean?
We'll definitely get into it. We
got so much to go.
We're
I'm
gonna
lit up
get
like a
into
firecracker.
that
You
part.
started this. You started this energy.
now look, check it out, right? We did talk about, your audition, right?
Yeah.
When was it that you knew it was Power Rangers and that you got the role?
Well, I knew that it was Rangers. I didn't know they were coming back for the 20th anniversary. I didn't know how massive it was going to be, how much money they're going to put into it, how they didn't tell us that I was going to morph in every Red Ranger in history. So there was a lot of unknowns. What I did is I just went in there for the first time in a long time, and I just had fun in there. And I think that's a really good thing. There's a wonderful privilege for any creative to be an actor, to create a compelling character and present it in its space and do it in a way that's masterful, or in a way that again stands out in its own way. And that's kind of like what I did when I was in there, and I was just playing. And I think they like that. There was so many people practicing that I noticed in the hallways, doing things that we've seen time and time again. And that's great because, again, nostalgia, people love that stuff. But I took a risk in there. I had some fun. I messed up. I fell on my face. I got back up, and they gave me the role.
That's amazing, man. I love it. Hey, sometimes imperfection is perfect. So
Well, it's not about perfection for me. It was always about progress. That's what I said in there. Every take's going to be different. So you're not going to just get one thing. You're going to get 12 different takes from 12 different angles. Have fun with it, just like I'm going to, unless you want me to do something different. Now, there is a tone to Power Rangers. There is a stylized of acting with Power Rangers on a daily basis. I was speaking with production, producers, brought into rooms. Please, please, please just hit this mark. Please, please, please don't do that. And, they're like, we really want to frame this in the best way possible. And I said, well, you guys hired me to do my job, and I'm here to do it. I'm not a puppet.
Oh, I love that. Speaking of that, right? Did you study any of the past Red Rangers to get any type of inspiration, or did you just want to do something completely different and put something new on the table?
I studied the scripts. I analyzed the scripts. I broke down the scripts. I showered with the scripts. I ran with the scripts. I slept with the scripts. I had conversations with the scripts. You know, when you read a script, you understand there's a style there. You understand there's a tone, there's a world, there's a psychology that's going on, and then you can develop it and develop it. And yes, of course, I grew up on 92, 93. Other than that, I was a boy who was on my BMX bike all the time, fishing, playing sports, those kind of things. Um, so I just approached it as an actor. When I got to New Zealand, that's when they gave us this stack of CDs to watch, Go Kaiser, etc. And I watched all of those. We all sat down and watched for about 3 hours a night. Tried not to watch too much, because if you watch too much, you can't digest that much. And we really just did our absolute best, and we had fun in the process.
That's interesting that they made y'all watch where the inspiration had came from.
Yeah, of course. You know, there's a tone, there's a speed, there's a dynamic that they want you to go into. They want you to be choreographed and synchronized. And that makes sense because we're a team, right? We're
Yeah.
not the Justice League where everybody is uniquely different. They're not doing all the power poses together. This is different and unique. It is like like a dance per se. So we did watch all those things. But then again, you know, when you watch things, even as an actor, and I remember this from acting school and even sharpening my sword with other actors, when you're playing scenes from other shows or movies or stage, you take on that person's persona. You know, if you're playing Casino, you're probably going to be like, so, Joe Pesci, you know. And he's like, bro, can you not be Al Pacino right now? He's like, but it's Casino. And everybody wants to do that. So again, it's taking a risk, practicing as much as you can, and then letting it go.
Yeah, I
Because
love
when they edit it anyway, and they had all the CGI and everything else, you know what I mean? And also, I remember we did so much ADR, probably 3 hours every weekend. We did ADR, and I would be like, how would I say something? Dragon sword, or um, it's morphin time. Go go, you know. And they'd be like, can you not remember? You're 17. I was like, my voice hasn't changed since I've been in like ninth grade. I know, but this is for teenagers. Why? Acting, cool. It's morphin time. Dragon sword. So there's just a lot to it, and it had a lot. You just had to have a lot of fun and just let it go and trust. That's part of the process too, and that was such a big experience for me and everybody else, that when we were acting together and we would fall on our face, we would pick each other back up in different acting ways. You know, keep things moving. If it was a serious face, we would try not to laugh. You know, if they're like looking at us super intense for whatever reason, and the other actor would just be closing their eyes and be like, no, 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 just let me have it. You know, but I won't look at you, so we won't mess it up. Or when we're in ADR, there was just a lot of support there. And sometimes, you know, you get frustrated. Every single actor that I worked with on Power Rangers are no jokes. They are great actors. They're great human beings. They really gave their all. And again, you what you see after the filters, the CGI, the edits, and everything else. I mean, I believe people already know that because of our careers have expanded past Power Rangers, you know, and then you get to see MCR, you get to see Azim, you get to see John Mark Loudermilk, you get to see Christina and myself and Cameron just expand our work. But yeah, we had a great time working together. And actually, Cameron was auditioning against myself for the Red Ranger, and then come to find out when we had our hiatus and flew back to America. I think we flew back to America. I can't remember. Yeah, we did. That then he was chosen to be the sixth Ranger, and that was great. That was great. And he would have been an amazing Red Ranger, by the way. He is a leader. He is a good man, and it would have been even cool to play a sixth Ranger. I was just happy to be a part of the franchise.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now let's talk about your character Troy, right? He has some really powerful visions of the legendary war. What did you make of the element of that story, that arc?
I believe we all have an opportunity to live a life that is bigger than us, that there is a calling and we get visions, and it comes from a higher power. It comes from destiny, and many are called and few are chosen. I believe that he was being prepared for this for a long time. And it's just a beautiful thing because it's also how my faith has grown, how my spirituality, how my love for Christ has grown. Because during that show, I got visions. I got visions that I would be a leader and a mentor to everyday heroes around the world, that this was going to be my global springboard to then funnel in other Rangers and teach them what a rite of passage is. Because at the end of the day, I'm a human being. I'm not the Red Ranger. I'm not going to morph. I'm not going to save you. I will DM you. I'll give you a great cameo. You come see me. I'll give you a hug and we'll pray together. But at the end of the day, you're the hero in your life by serving something higher. So I had the same visions as Troy had. And it just made my job really easy. I knew exactly what I was going to do on the day. I knew how far I was going to go on the day, and what risks I was willing to take, because God be the glory, I had no fear. And that's what I'm doing now with my life. And I wouldn't have this without Power Rangers. So I really believe it was a higher calling, and Troy had a higher calling. So I really resonated with that, and it's also confusing, right? You're on your way to school and you're just like, whoa, just what happened? He's like, you're going to get off or not? And you're like, yeah, 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 yeah. Was that real? Wild. Bing, first bell, and life happens. So I think you can understand that yourself, especially, with this wonderful podcast that you've been doing and content creating for 5 years, and it's part of the life, the vision.
I love that, the way you broke that down. Now, Megaforce itself was really the first of its kind with the team's abilities to morph into past Rangers. What was one of your favorite Rangers that you got to morph into?
For me, I would say two, and I've shared this on dozens of different interviews that I've had, which would be Samurai, because Alex Hartman and I went to high school and just at a loan, and he knew my sister very well, which is great. And then also Mighty Morphin, because that's what I watched. I'm 38 years old. I grew up on it. I used to rush home when kids used to walk home from school. I don't know if they do that anymore. And I would just like drop my bike on the front door, kick open, get a bowl of cereal with a spoon in it, and just, yeah! So when we got to wear the suits, and we were in the suits.
Oh, so you got to wear the suits that you morphed into.
We were in suits all day.
Oh, that was awesome.
I would say at minimum 4 days a week, we were in suits for 5-6 hours. And yeah, you chafe everywhere. So when I hear the stories of, oh man, we just wore them for pictures, or we just wore them at premieres, I was like, you guys got lucky. I mean, it's really cool to put on a suit and to fulfill your dream as an actor, as wanting to, as being a hero. I mean, kids grow up wanting to be heroes. So that was just a great experience. But wearing them for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours, 8 hours a day, kicking, doing choreography, you're like, I'm chafing, bro. Like, you're like, lotion me, got it. Thank God.
Well, we got to talk about the end of Super Megaforce, right? The legendary battle. We definitely got to talk about the season finale, which was massive. What was it like filming such a iconic moment in this franchise period? Like, besides that moment, you probably got like Forever Red and certain other episodes that that kind of can match that type of energy. What was that like?
Thank you for answering that, and I'm going to give you a thorough answer. If you don't mind, what was it like for you in the fandom to watch it?
When I first seen it, I'm not even gonna lie to you, I was kind of past my Power Rangers prime. Like, I had stopped watching the shows, but when Samurai came out, my sons were into it. So I started watching Power Rangers again with my sons, and then Megaforce came out. It became like a constant thing to watch these shows with my kids. And then one day I come in the house and, they call me and I hear him bugging out in the room. And I'm like, what's going on? and they're watching it on Netflix at this time. I think it was on Netflix. I'm not sure.
It was. I got
It
it
was
kicked
on
off. I'll
Netflix,
tell you
right?
about that later.
All right, so they're watching it on Netflix, and I see all the different Power Rangers. I'm like, what is this? And I'm telling them like rewind it, and I sat down and I watched the whole episode, and I thought that was really cool to see. So I know if you're a fan, mind you, I'm 40. You say you was 38. I was a huge fan of it, so I know just being in that position and seeing all these iconic Rangers, man, what was that like for you?
It was an opportunity of a lifetime to fulfill a childhood dream. And I enjoyed every moment, every second, every minute of it. I believed everybody else did. There was nothing rushed. There was nothing faked. There was what you saw on screen. It brings goosebumps to my arms when I watched it, because I believe that was one of the proudest moments all of us had together. And one of the realest times where we started something, full circle, we finished something. And it was one of the last days or last week of filming. So when I did put that sword in the ground, it meant something. And I do believe real, true, authentic maturity is knowing when to come home, when to return home. When the lights go off, we come home. We pass the torch and we return home with the elixir. We teach others. So when I do any kind of signings, I connect with people, and I always, most likely, I sign either God bless you and your family or God bless you and your family to the future Red Ranger. You know, your Red Ranger doesn't have to be on television. It's all right here. It's all in here. But it was one of those moments again where I'll never forget it.
Man, that is different. What was your favorite cameo in the episode?
My favorite cameo in the episode, man, I just love everybody. You know, everybody was so kind, thoughtful, and generous. They shared stories. We went to dinner. They brought their kids on set. Of course, working with Jason got me close with him, and then we traveled as well, promoting the show, working the show, and I got to know his family. I got to know Tammy. I got to know Jenna. I got to see their relationship. I got to see and understand my bud and a lot of the struggles he was going through and being misunderstood. And I believe that's just because of every man has a duality where we have a light side and we have a dark side. Yet he said this to me, he said, when I go home, not everybody I feel like's my friend, but when I travel the world, everyone's my friend. And I make sure that I give my friendship to everyone, you know, who comes at the table. It's an experience. And I took that on myself. I was like, this is never about a transaction. This is not just about promoting a brand that's underpaying us. This is about the children. This is about the fans. This is about the young adults. This is about the teens. And this is about the adults that still love this message. But what I do know is, and this is to your audience as well, when you are a friend to everyone, you become an enemy to yourself. Bill Murray said this to Emma Stone. He said, come here, you just won your Oscar, right? And you did a wonderful job. Just some advice. Do you mind? And she's like, yeah, keep something for you. Don't give them everything. They'll want everything. And they'll present all these things to give you so that you do it. But once you have an empty glass, there's nothing to pour out of anymore. You just shatter. You're fragile and you're transparent. And that stuck with me too. I miss my guy. And he was my brother in Christ. And the last time we were together, we prayed together. So those were my experiences for that day. I could go on and on and on. I love the family. I love the people. I love all the Rangers. I love Catherine. I love Nakia. I love Jason. I mean, I just talk so much beautifulness about everybody and my cast. Even Ryota from Japan, who is my counterpart. He's a wonderful man. I don't understand much of he says, and he sure doesn't understand about mine. But we know body language, and that's 97% of all language, and it's positive.
I love that, man. You're a really deep person, man. After speaking to you, like that's pretty dope, and that's good to hear. that the cast of Power Rangers is almost like family, and you see that because when normally like you don't necessarily see a lot of franchises cast really like interact with each other like that and build a bond that lasts for years. You have certain ones like I want to say one of the few that I've seen that are really close, the X-Men voice actors from the animated series and X-Men 97. Like they're always at conventions, they're all and for years, decades. And I feel like the Power Rangers family is just the same. I feel like y'all all have a special place in this franchise and also in each other's hearts. So that's phenomenal. Now, speaking
Yeah,
of the
that's how I
family,
fell in love with everybody, with Walter, with Steve, with Austin. I mean Nico. I mean, I don't need to name everybody else. I will if we have the time for that because there's that many. It's just part of. Um, there's I don't even know how to say this. Is that I think we all experience some similarities on set. Um, I believe all of us deserve to get paid more. I didn't watch the Hollywood Demons, nor am I. I'm not going to watch anything that's going to point out gossip, slander, and faults in a positive thing. And I just signed off. I was going to be the executive producer of the Jason David Frank Sixth Ranger official documentary. I'm not doing it anymore. And there's a couple reasons why. Number one, the people that we went to for financing, and this is at top tier level. I'm not going to say who it is, top tier level, Netflix level, right? Um, they want to invest in the destruction. Same thing. They want to invest in the demons. They want to invest in the fighting. All anything toxic, they're like, yeah, that's what we want. Because they know people are gonna watch that. Because it's the other side, it's duality, right? They're like, we already got the fluff, and now we're gonna get the scruff. And you're like, well, how about we put the scruff? Because that's reality. I get it. But all we need is 10% of that, let's be honest. We can edit things 10% out of a 3-hour documentary, which is probably going to be what, like 20 minutes, 10 minutes. That's all we need, though, bro.
yeah, the
And
market, the bad
I
stuff.
wasn't willing to do that. So I moved
I
on.
100% agree with you. One of the things I seen the documentary, you know, I'm good friends. We'll talk off camera, but I'm good friends with one of JDF's family members, and we was talking, and you know, so I made it my business to watch the Hollywood Demons, and towards the end, I kind of like the way it started, and because it gave a lot of valuable information about certain things that was going on within the series. But then when it started, like you said, it started to go with the slander, the gossip, the rumors, the pointing people's flaws out that brought so many people joy, cheers. Like, cause JDF is my hero. Like, that's my goat. That's my favorite Ranger of all time. Like,
It's
no
kind of
matter
like when
what.
Michael Jackson had those documentaries, and you're hanging somebody who's dead.
Yeah, and I like it
Makes
was
no sense
just
to me.
distasteful for me. So I can understand. And man, that's a big thing that you did, and I'm proud of you, man, for that, for real, for real.
Now, I'm not
Because
saying these people
anybody's
are
gonna
bad.
take the money over their morals these days. That's
May-
how I feel like a lot of
Maybe.
people.
At the end of the day, I'm not here to judge them. I'm here to be a professional and to know what's for me, what I believe is best for my client, and not just for the buyers or the distributors. At the end of the day, the story's not going anywhere. Neither is Hollywood, and it may be even more valuable in 5 years from now. Kind of like the um, Super Slash Man Christopher Reeve story. That's a great
That was
documentary.
good. That was really good. I was even telling my wife she has to watch that. That was
Cheers.
a beautiful
Amazing
documentary.
man, beautiful man, and that's what we could have did easily. And we could have also done it like Valves because Jason and I've seen him. I just gave back the hard drive, but Jason recorded everything from his childhood through everything. I mean, we're talking like 136 hours kind of footage. Everything, his wedding, kids, the auditioning process, behind the scenes. Man, we went there and we still could go there. And Tammy may be working with other people, so I hope they do it justice. He deserves
Yeah.
that. I think the brand deserves that. So that, again, whoever's creating this thing is effort shows intention. Why are they doing it? And what's the purpose of it? The what and the how. Oh, sorry, the why, the what, and the how. So I'm really curious about that. In your opinion, do you believe they are going to be thinking of the fans 100%?
No, they're gonna be
What
thinking
percentage do you
about.
think they're going to do it?
I think they're gonna be thinking about the controversy that they can use to market and promote and sell this product. And if they could promote something, because you got to keep in mind, JDF is the face of this franchise. He is
They treated him
Power Ranger.
horribly. I mean, Hasbro, everybody but Saban. And I know even from what Tammy was telling me, he had a relationship with Saban like it was kind of like a father-son relationship where, I mean, he said he went to the office one day and just flipped the whole table and he's like, "Give me what the-" and he's like, "Dude, Jay, relax, bro." He's like, "I'm trying to relax, but you paid us $400 to be monkey dancing in this suit at Universal Studios and go over here like, dude, help us." So I was like, that's a toxic father-son relationship. But at the end of the day, I only can tell you my story. I don't know exactly. I can share a little bit of what I was, but when we first got to New Zealand, and I just talked about the gossip and slander. This isn't about the show. This is about the people who make the show. Okay. I love them, but at the end of the day, I don't respect them, all of them. For instance, like when we got there, they're like, "Okay, you guys now need to find your own places. You need to pay for your own places. You need to buy your own cell phones. You need to," and I'm like, "Listen, we're flying across country. Half the people never even flown across country before. Thank God I've modeled for like 6 years all over the world. So I get it. And there's a culture shock, right? There really is. But at the end of the day, I'm just going to just be straight. Why do we need a phone? Well, we need to be in contact with you. Okay. So you need to be in contact with me. Copy. Did everybody hear that? So then why am I paying for the phone? I'm waiting. And they're like, "Dude, your tone, you talk to people wild." And I'm like, "I'm talking to them as a leader. I'm the Red Ranger. I'm also a business owner. Night Owl Studios LLC. I'm an actor. There's a brand here. This is a business. If it doesn't make sense for my business," almost fell off the chair. You know,
Yeah.
and that was shocking to them. But at the end of the day, it's not about tooting the horn. It's standing up for what you believe in. And they're like, "All right, fine. We'll pay for you guys' place. We'll pay for your cell phone. And we'll give you some per diem to eat." And I was like, "Oh, thanks, guys. I appreciate that." I don't, so that's, if we want to talk about the show, we don't need to talk about the actors. We can talk about the writers. We can talk about the producers. We can talk about the directors. We can talk about why they cashed their checks when they created something they didn't want to. I didn't cash a check if I didn't create something I didn't want to. So I was a problem child. But I don't see it as a problem child. I'd rather be a resolution now than how they see a problem there. Because I can speak right now. Everybody was happy, having a good time, making positive memories, which added to our chemistry, which added to our craft, which added to the characters, which actually what you guys saw on television, what you guys see when we're all together. You guys see your guys' posts when we're at Power Morphicons or at all these other places. Shout out Power Morphicon, love you, Scott. People are like, "Dude, we love your guys' team. Like, you guys are like awesome. You guys are awesome. And thank you for seeing the awesomeness in us." We had to go through things to get to from the valley to that peak, but we went there. And sometimes it just, I don't know, it just takes people like you and I, right, who's gonna create the show, who's gonna be reaching out and doing those things. I don't know. Next question.
Let's
I
talk
can
a
just go
little
off,
bit.
bro.
Nah, it's good because we definitely want to hear all of that. We want to hear, the good, bad, and the ugly. And speaking, coming from the horse's mouth, is nothing better. But let's move on to something you just said, right? That made me think about a question that I had for you. You talked about, how y'all was happy, how y'all was, building and vibing together, you and the cast. Were there any bloopers on set pranks or behind the set moments that really stuck with you forever?
I would say the wildest thing that just brought out bloopers was the shooting schedule. It was 5 days a week, and then the sixth day was ADR, and we had a Sunday for rest. So just being like feeling drunk on set because we're working so much, we're sweating so much. You're just kind of lucid. You're on caffeine and cookies. It wasn't the healthiest experience.
Wow. So the stuff that the original cast was going through, y'all was going through that all the way up to like 20.
I would
What?
say the funniest thing was for me, right? I really work at not being the most serious guy. It's just I don't know. I'm a no non. I have a lot of big jokey sides, but at the end of the day, I think the funniest thing was when we got on set for the first giving us our interview, and they're like, "Oh, here's your guys' trailer." The girls got their own trailer, and then you got 3 dudes or 4 dudes in one trailer, and the heater didn't work and was constantly blasting AC. And I was like, "This is hilarious. Are you for real?" And
I don't mean to
and
laugh, but because it's
and
really not hilarious, but damn.
men are men. And I will be a man. Shoot, I didn't need a trailer. Give me a hole, some fire, and I'll poop in it and make a fire and I'll eat out there if that's part of it or whatever. But at the end of the day, we're here to play these iconic roles. Dude, give us our own trailer, bro. You guys are spending like $300 or $400,000 per episode. So I thought that was hilarious.
That I just don't understand, man. Not to
You,
double
you know what
back
it
on.
smells like in a trailer with 4 dudes after like a 2-hour action sequence? Not fun.
Yeah, that must have been crazy. But not to double back on the
Yeah.
dark side of the Power Rangers Hollywood. But I noticed they said that, the actors was making like $600 every week or something like that. But the toy, the toys was bringing in almost billions, like 7 billion or something like that. So I don't understand. Like I'm still puzzled on,
Well, at the end of the
how.
day, it's something that we signed up for. If I signed the contract, that's what I agreed upon, and that's what I agreed upon. And I believe that's part of the experience of being in the entertainment industry is, hey, get a better attorney, or don't sign it or don't do it. But what it did offer you, and the most positive thing, one of the most positive things was that we had more screen time in a short amount of time than most actors do in their whole careers.
Hmm.
We stepped into a global franchise that's in 193 countries. So we're not talking about something nationwide. We're not talking something that's, oh, it's in territories in Canada and Mexico, and hopefully we can make it in Dubai. No, we were all over the place in 33 different countries, 193 countries, 33 different languages. It was a wonderful experience. So yeah, we got paid. We got paid $4,000 a week plus $10,000 bonuses. So like I cannot remember. It's been so long, but I think it was every 10 episodes we got a bonus. And if we took pictures on set and we let the world see what we're shooting, we got fined. And it was the girls who were getting fined or almost getting fined. We're like, ladies, can you not just
Taking
take
selfies.
pictures, dude? They're like, oh, Drew, stop. We look super cute right now. I'm like, yeah, but you're getting us fined like $3,000.
Oh man, it
So
was 3 grand.
yeah. And I was like, if we make $4,000 in a week.
That's a whole paycheck,
So
man.
they stopped immediately. They're professionals, but yeah, that got to a point because again, they didn't tell us what's happening in season 2. So again, when they were arriving with all these huge, massive crates from every series they've had in 20 years, and all the monster shoots and all the big guns and all this cool swords, we got to play with them all,
That's dope.
and it was really cool. I guess they just had that auction for Power Rangers. Did you hear about that?
Nah, I didn't. I wish I would have.
Okay, so they had it when Hasbro sold it, they sold everything, and then they put it in an auction. So, for instance, everything Power Rangers from like the Saba, everything, all the original suits, my everything is got wiped out, sold. So when they redo this for Netflix, it's going to be all different, and that's fine. But hopefully, it's not too far off the rails. But still, have some creative value in it. And I thought that was kind of crazy. I was like, man, that should be a traveling museum. They should maybe even donate it.
I
To
think a
Make-A-Wish
museum would
Foundation.
have been pretty dope. I think
Yeah.
a museum with all of that stuff would have been super dope.
Tammy has a
Now,
lot. She has all of Jason's suits. I mean, the red suits, the black suits, the green suits, all the helmets, all the Dracos or whatever they are. She has everything, and they're offered her some money to help her with it. And I hope she does it. You don't need to. There's some things just to hold on to for sure, but at the end of the day, give them to people who want to put it in a shrine, who want to pay 30 racks or more and put it in a glass shelf, and that's their baby.
that's
Why not?
fire. But let's switch gears, right? Power Rangers is often tackling some heavy themes that, like me and you was talking about earlier, go over people heads, right? Teamwork, leadership, perseverance. Has any fan ever shared a story with you that somehow or some way Troy has impacted their life in a significant way?
Every convention that I go to, absolutely every convention that I go to. I don't believe it's right for me to share their personal story, but the answer is yes.
Mm. So
I can tell
when
you
it comes,
briefly. It was about these things briefly. Thank you for helping me get a rite of passage. Thank you for showing me how to step into a leadership position. Um, you became a father figure to me because what I saw in you is what I always hoped to have as a father, but my father wasn't that. Stuff like that. And it's
how is
very
the
impactful.
fandom?
Puts
Because
me in
I know it
tears.
must be crazy when you go to these cons. What's the favorite quote or something that they always ask you to write down or something?
Um, Coco Megaforce. They actually say, "Can you please write whatever's in your heart to me?" That's why I support you. I love your free speech. I love your depth. I love your humanity, and I could use some upliftment. And I was like, all right, well, let's get you lit up like a firework, my friend. I was like, step back, let me take you in. Okay, hold up, I got something, and just get in there.
All right. So now let's talk about the legacy. And we was talking about it a little bit before earlier in the podcast. And I want to dive a little deeper into it. As you know, or you may not know, it's been reported that Disney is developing the new live action reboot of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on Disney Plus. The showrunners will be Jonathan E. Steinberg and also Dan Schatz, who worked on Percy Jackson and the Olympians. They also worked on Apple TVC, Black Sails, and Jericho. Now, just from some of the shows that they worked on, even Percy Jackson, they put a little grit into it, a little more for like adult or younger or older teens. I want to say young adults type thing. But what do you think are some of the key ingredients that this show will need to succeed and attract new audience?
Jonathan's gonna be involved. That's amazing. Jonathan was involved with ours.
Oh, you
I think it's the
was?
same Jonathan. I think it's the same Jonathan. Because then they had a different guy come in after Jonathan was fired or let go, resigned, one of those. What they're going to need to do is have arcs and backstories, character arcs.
Yeah, those is important. Character depth and character development is
Character
what makes
development,
some of
man.
the.
I mean, if they're again, I don't know what their why is. If they want to sell, what would you do? Would you make billions of dollars off of toys, or would you make hundreds of millions off of a story?
I'll make hundreds of millions off of a story because I think there's so much to explore with Power Rangers. Because to me, the closest I got since Power Rangers been off air was Cobra Kai. without the suits, I feel like Cobra Kai is, Power Rangers. Well, at least the original Power Rangers, teenagers with attitudes, dealing with stuff that teenagers go through every day. They can explore, bullies, mental health, things like that, how to overcome things like that at the same time being a hero themselves. So I think that would be a great aspect to put in the show if they was gonna not too dark or because you still want to have that light, cheesy side of Power Rangers. Maybe a nice little comic relief. Of course, you need something like a Skull and Bulk.
I mean, do we
Type
want?
thing.
I mean, that's the thing. Do people want? I guess you can't give people what they don't want, and you're just gonna have to, see what that is. Does it need to be campy, or can it be refreshed, renewed, and restored? Sure, I would. Why not? Why not give it more depth? Why not have more character development? Even if it is have a Bulk and Skull, what was their childhood like? I can just imagine. I can just see their house. It wasn't clean. You know what I mean? I can see that they both had poor diets. I can see probably they both were like in poverty and they're the smelly kid in class. I mean, that's just how they showed up on the damn screen. But it'd be really cool if you just see him like, like, can you see my door right here?
Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah, well, we blah blah blah, bully, huh? And then, yeah, mom, I'll be in for lunch. But for real, like they're hurting. That's why he wants to hurt somebody. Like that's real.
And that's a good way
And
to
people can relate to that,
Yeah,
like
that'd be
so
a
cool
good way
at school. So with their bong digga bong bong, but then at the end of the day, it's like they're hurting so freaking bad, dude.
and that's why there's such assholes and bullies to the Power Rangers.
Yeah.
You get that side, and you get to relate to those characters. And I think, matter of fact, it'll be a good thing because I seen JDF one time do an interview, right? It was one of the last interviews I seen him do. And he was talking about like what he would do if he was, to run the franchise, how he would make an anime, how he would, want to, do this, do that. But he said something that was very interesting. He said he would take elements from the Boom Studio comics and adapt it into a show. And I don't know if you read the Boom Studio comics for Power Rangers, but my God, there's so much lore, so much character development with them. It's beautifully done. And I would like to see them even like Battle of the Grid, that whole arc. Man, I would like to see something like that brought to the screen, whether it be through an anime or through this show. But I do see, for something like that, it's gonna take a huge, huge budget to do because Power Rangers, you got so many different elements. You got the kaiju type megazords and all types of stuff, the battle suits and the power-ups, and it's just a lot to put into
It's
a
a big
show.
universe.
But
It's a big world. Yeah.
yeah, it's a
Really big world.
big world, especially as much lore as it got over the last 30 years. You have in space.
I think it would just be cool if they just simplified it all. I don't personally, I was never a fan of the Megazords. I was never even really a fan.
They gonna kill you.
I was
in the
never even a
comments.
fan of the morphing. I was never even a fan of the morphing. I don't care. I never did. I care about the humans because I live on Earth. I've been like this since a kid. Like I live in reality. The only thing I haven't lived in reality with, people are like, dude, Drew's insane. Is like I still think I can do like KO Kid. Like that's it. Dragon Ball. Well, other than that,
Hey,
I think less is more.
Let
What
me
if they
find
put
out you know
less
something
money,
about anime.
less Megazords, less fluff, shoot 'em up, beat 'em up for kids? We don't need shoot 'em up, beat 'em up. We need honest connections.
Yeah, we need that
We
story.
need people working through things so that kids aren't killing themselves, man.
And I'm not gonna lie, right? Well, matter of fact, before I get into that question, let me find out what you know about anime. You know something about anime?
I've heard of it.
He said, I heard of it. All right. These next couple of questions are basically universal questions that I ask all of my guests that come on the show. We're gonna start off with, what type of inspiration you had from some of your favorite fictional characters of all time. You get to pick five. Who are your top five fictional characters of all time? You can go comic books, you can go anime, cartoons, movies, shows. Who's your top five?
Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo, Batman, and Wolverine.
Oh, I like it. All badasses too, man. I love it. That says a lot, man. Chat, what did it say about his mains? All right, now the next question. I usually ask, because I have a lot of voice actor guests on the podcast. So I
Yeah.
ask them what's their Mount Rushmore voice actors. So, being that this is a special edition, Power Rangers edition, I'm gonna ask you what's your Mount Rushmore of Power Rangers. So you only get four. Who would be your top four Power Rangers of all time?
Steve, Nakia, Catherine, and Bryan Cranston.
Okay. Now, from Troy, are there any lines from that character that resonated with you on a personal level?
There was a level of I remember when we did the bully scene, and I said, no matter how small, everything deserves respect, and I meant that. And I had many scenes like that for myself growing up, and I'm still healing from those wounds. They live with you. I was that kid with the glasses on. I was just interested in fun stuff that maybe most kids weren't. I was a loner at school. That's another thing about Troy. I was definitely a loner. I loved to be around my friends, and we would play basketball at night till the sun went down. But most of the time, I was a loner. I'll be wearing my Dragon Ball Z shirts to school that'll get a hot topic, and I just think they're so amazing and get punked for them all the time, or jumped at the end of school a lot, and that's why I got into wrestling and other athletics and boxing. Let's see what the line. Take a good look. Do you see any tears? I remember so many times getting people trying to punk me, and you just look into their soul, and after a while, you break their soul. Unfortunately. And then that's a great time to just be like, "Hey, bro, I know we were just trying to fight, but can I give you a hug? I feel like there's something hecka deeper, bro. I'm sorry. I don't know you, but I go through a lot of stuff too. We can talk about that." And that's why we became friends. You got to stand up to bullies. They really just need a hug. Everyone does. I mean, Jason said this in an interview. He said, "Hey, behind the corner, we're all crying. When we take that mask off, we're all going through something. So if I can make a child happy, that's all that matters." Right? And I think we got to make our inner child happy. That's how we stand up to the bullies. And it's not about fighting. It's not about who's physically stronger. It's more about how similar we are and how things we go through that we can't control. You know, I would love to work on Power Rangers again. I would love to help write for them. There's so much impact that we can really do. But what is it about? Why are they doing it? And I hope they just do a good job.
Mm. All right, now what's life been like for Andrew after Power Rangers? What have you been up to?
I have been working my butt off, to be honest with you. I definitely been working my butt off. I can read you a couple things because I've gone through a lot of different metamorphoses since Rangers. I think as we all do as we grow into our manhood, right? We have different responsibilities. Since Rangers, I've lost a lot of family,
Mm.
and I've also gone through a lot of agents, and I've gone through a lot of managers. I have consistently been working. I've turned down many, many roles. Not for the woke agenda. I am a man of Christ, and since the Rangers, I've been working towards getting into a seminary school. I started the Superhero U,
I seen
which is
that.
where I bring up, I elevate people in faith, their meaning, their purpose, their look, and their power. And that's what I've been working on tooth and nail for about 3 years now. And I've gone through 5 or 6 different partners, and that's a lot. And when you got to restructure the company so many different times, you just want to cover ground, man. Um, I've had a wonderful opportunity to shoot some great films, and I have a film coming out, which maybe we'll talk about a little bit later, called American Warrior, which is a story of every man has 2 lives, but the second one starts when you realize you only have one. You start to get in that fold. Um, I was executive producing a reality show that went on Netflix that I was working with my mentor of 10 years. I saw this person as a little bit more than a brother, a little bit less than a father, and he betrayed me, and so did my love globally. I don't want to get too much into that, but I learned a lot from that, and I had to face my demons. I had to go through the valley of death and fear no evil. I had to get deeper into my faith. It was something that was on a global scale. We were number one in 54 countries. So my relationship was put on blast, and it was manipulated, it was augmented. Obviously, it's reality television, right? And what I went to create for that wasn't made, and it separated me. And that was a part of the separation of going through faith,
Oh, that's the
going
joint
through
on
the journey of
Netflix that you
manhood.
did, right? That you're talking
Yeah.
about?
hmm hmm So it went from America's Ranger, Red Ranger per se, to the biggest piece of crap in the world, Women's Health Magazine painting me the most toxic man on television alive. So I've gone through a lot of tests. I've gone through the fold, and I've realized life's not about being nice. It's about knowing who you are. The world doesn't need to understand you. Just understand yourself, understand your heavenly Father, and just lead from that. So I've been working, man. I want to get in the ring fighting. I've been training for fighting, boxing now for almost 3 years. I was in Vegas for 2 years training with elite fighters, and in the talks tomorrow with somebody to get in the ring, hopefully with by June or July. I've been building out these retreats, these ranger camps, using this funnel so that we can go in the wilderness together. We can watch Power Rangers. We can have that camp. We can go fishing, and I can teach you how to fish and teach you how to tie those knots. We're going to jump off cliffs. We're going to dive into deep, murky water, and we're going to hold our breath and stay cool, calm, and collected, because at the bottom, it's always clear. We're going to swim across the lake. We're going to go for runs at night. We're going to navigate the stars. We're going to tell stories. And when the fire gets hot, we're going to burn all of our burdens. We're going to write our down to things that don't serve us anymore, the fears, the illusions, the doubts, the worries, and we're going to burn it. And so those are things I've been working on. I've also been working on my getting closer with my family. Again, I had some losses. My pop passed away. Both my grandparents passed away. My cousin
Sorry to
passed
hear
away.
that.
Both my dogs passed away. I've been to jail twice in the last 2 years for things that were falsely claimed on me, and then the DA dropped all charges. So I've been going through a gauntlet and praying every single day for God to make me stronger. But what I forgot is, if I pray for Him to make me stronger, then that means He's going to put me through another test, another battle, and I'm ready for it. I say, bring it on. That's the best you got. So I've come a long way, is what I can say. I definitely come a long way. When I was leaving out of Power Rangers, I was 26 years old, and I was already two-time international model of the year. I already was a face of Gucci, Versace, Dior. I was already booking global national commercials. I was making a lot of money. Become a Power Ranger, become a hero, and it was like a big moment when it was Rangers, especially because of 20th year and Power Morphicon. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people showed up. It was very, very similar to it. Just felt like, even like the original, like how big it was. And then a lot went to my head. And I started doing, just, I was sober. I think that was the thing that really kept me grounded as possible and getting back into my faith, was my sobriety. I was sober for 8 years. Not anymore, but it never was for an issue. My family's full of addicts, and I thought I could help them. So working, going through faith, breaking through thresholds, letting go of people, places, and things that weren't serving me, separation from mentorship, from manipulators, from users, from uh, relationships that were just using me. I was getting used a lot, and it's they say I don't know. I was getting used a lot. So those are the things that were happening outside of that until I built my own empire. I actually just I had my agent hang up the phone on me yesterday and drop me. And I'm gonna get a new agent here soon. I'm not even never worried about that.
Why
Dude,
you do that?
it's a female.
Oh, why she do that?
I don't know the exact reason, but my feelings are right. My logic in this. There's so many just sensitive people. There's just sensitive people. This is business. It's pretty logical. It's pretty black and white. And I know I have a way of presenting myself from the core and speaking from the heart, speaking from the soul, speaking from the spirit, right? And for some reason, my agents just think I have this tone. They're like, "You just have this tone about you." Like, "Ugh." And I said, "Ma'am, the tone is this. I'm a business owner. We have a high level of alignment. I'm seeking $1.4 million for this documentary. I've had 3 meetings. You said you'd review this next project. It's been 3 weeks. Do you believe that's a fair timeline to get feedback or even communicate at all?" You know what? We're done. We can't work with you, dude. I don't know what this is. We just can't work with you. You need to learn how to talk to people. I was like, please don't gaslight me. If this isn't a working relationship that you want to be in, that's fine. But know that I'm working like a $25,000 global commercial right now that you guys said I couldn't do, and I booked it. I went out and reached out to them. I'm negotiating the deal. I have a movie coming out this summer with Danny Trejo. My brand is growing. Why would you drop somebody who's a business owner who has a strategy and a plan, a pitch, a budget behind it? Doesn't make any sense. Good luck. And then at 2 seconds, later you get email after discussing with the team. Like that's a copy and paste. You didn't discuss with the team in 3 minutes. How big's the team, dude? You know what I mean? It's just like all this fluff, all this sensitiveness. I'm here to. There's 3 different kinds of people, and I know you're one of the third. You're the third because we're doing this together, and I've just seen what you've been doing and how everything that you've been putting out. By the way, so professional. Every one of your posts look amazing, and I know how much energy, work it takes. It's a lot, dude. And I don't know, I'm not going to put that out there what I think or not, but sometimes I believe that people forget. Like when you're seeing edits, like it doesn't happen just in like 30 seconds. No, it could happen take 3 days to get it edited, and it could take a week. Then you got to have a carousel of things. So just kudos to you on that. I hope I answered the question okay. I feel
Nah,
like
you
I
did,
did.
man, because people want to get to know,
It's just the industry too. If they from who I've gone through 16 agents. This is going to be my 17th now that I'm on. And the thing is, they want to control you. Here's the reality of it. Okay. So my agent, awesome guy. Just going to throw this out there. I've never, other than, I'm going to say his name, Sam. Sam Redsky. G. He's a dude. He was a male, straight male. Just ended with that. He's my only straight male agent that I've ever had in my whole life across the world. It's always been a female or a gay man. I don't care. But that's just reality. And Sam was always the one who was not sensitive. He's like, bro, I don't care if you like are upset. That's understandably be upset. It was bad communication. Duh. I'll let you know that. I'm gonna get on their ass. When it comes to the opposites, yeah, don't talk to me like that. Ew, who do you think you are? Who? You finished? Would you like me to respond to that? So I just move on.
So speaking of moving on, are there any upcoming conventions that we could see you at, or any projects coming up?
Yeah, so I have a conventions. Let's start there. Conventions right now. I will be in Atlanta for Ranger Pop. That'd be great. I'm going to be in SD, San Diego Comic Con. Be signing there and maybe do a keynote speech there. I'm going to be in New Mexico. I'm going to be at the Native Youth Foundation. I'm doing a keynote there and doing some mentorship there with the youth and with Keith Velasquez, who's an amazing founder of it, great soul, and just puts so much love and encouragement into the youth. I think there's one more outside of that right now. But that's pretty much it. But we're working on to get out to do more. Really, what I'd like to do, and my main intentions for going to all these, is to share my story and to elevate and uplift the youth. I believe a true superpower isn't about sharing my powers; it's about bringing out the powers in other people. And I know that death and public speaking are some of the two biggest fears, and I want to help people get past that. We got to get past that through what? Hey, getting your mental right, getting your spirit right, getting your body right. Yeah, that builds your confidence. Come up and speak. Look, come on. No. When you get exposure, you build confidence. Bit by bit by bit. It's not gonna go straight up, because when you go straight up, it comes straight down. You want this constant, steady momentum. So then when you do bite the bullet, slip, when you downslide, it's only like this. But when you're on stage with the Red Ranger, man, I'm going to make you feel at home. Because you're home. And this is a safe space. Let's all be the hero in our life and not the villain by serving something higher. I remember going to a convention in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and this guy was giving me the Joker voice. And I was like, you're good, dude. You're good. He's like, well, how you doing there, Holly? What's Betsy? Ah? And he's like really doing some cool stuff. And I was like, dude, you should be a voice actor. You should be a voice actor. That's great. I'll introduce you to somebody. For real? Yeah, dude, they're gonna be here tomorrow, man. Oh my God. Great. Cool. And then the next day he shows up. Oh, I'm ready. And he's talking like Joker. And he was in his Joker outfit. What he basically was telling me was like, he's like, hey, when I met him on Friday, it was like on Saturday and Sunday, they're gonna have a cosplay speed dating. And I was like, that's cool. How you feeling? Oh, super nervous, bro. Super nervous. But when I put my Joker outfit on and I get into my voice, I'm like, come on, yeah. And he's doing all this stuff and he has his gold grill in. I was like, boom, why don't you just do that now? Dude, beat red, like ghost, sweatles. I was like, are you scared, bro? I was like, listen, you know how you have your makeup off and you see yourself differently? So do these women. That's why they cover their body with it. Know that the spotlight on them is the same one on you, but it's actually even more on them because they're comparing themselves to every other girl cosplayer that is here somewhat, right? Getting the most attention and hey, take a picture of me. You don't need that. You're more than enough. And if she's like, you're not my type, guess what? There's 1,000 other Harleys out here, man. But I'm just saying, like, have fun out there, take a risk, and maybe even show up not as Joker, and you're gonna find the Harley of your life. Maybe she showed up not as Harley. I don't know, but you're gonna get the real. And anyway, I remember on Sunday he came back to the table and he's like, "Bro, I totally took that advice, and I showed up halfway through, not, but just in the voice. I got way more positive feedback and attention from the girls I liked there in the speed dating thing, and I think that was like part of giving birth to the superhero you." So anyway, I'm going back to New Mexico and hopefully see that guy again.
Hey man, if you're ever in Tulsa, let me know, man. I'll definitely come out and check you out. Now, any upcoming
Yeah.
projects before we let you go?
Yeah. So this summer, I don't know when the movie's coming out. They told me this summer. It's called American Warrior, and it's an MMA film. It's the first time that I'm playing more of a villain arc in that. But at the end of the day, my psychology around the character was that he's a desperate person and people do desperate things in desperate times. Nobody fights harder and do desperate more things when their back's up against a wall. You put a tiger against the wall, they're going to bite your ass. I don't care if you're the trainer or not. So that's kind of like that film. It's with Danny Trejo, Machete. It's with Veronica Falcone, who's in Jumanji, Queen of the South, Ozark. She actually won at Santa Fe, New Mexico, Best Actress. It's great. It's won like 25 different awards. And it's also with Vishy, who is an Indian star, and he's just amazing. It's actually about his life. So they say that it's going to be coming out June, July, or August. But now I just saw that 2026. So anywho, that's just a project that's coming out. And again, the Superhero U is now doing coaching. Before we do group coaching, I'm working on one-on-ones. I have some great clients right now. If you guys would like to be coached by myself and do some one-on-ones or some group things, we can do that. Please just DM Hero at the Superhero U or at Andrew Gray. Just DM me Hero, and I will give you guys a Hello Starter Kit, which is breaks down what the hero's journey is. It tells you a little bit about myself, what I was going through, what I was seeking, knocking, and asking for, and basically building something that I needed at the time when I got into Hollywood. I was seeking a mentorship, but there wasn't there, right? And then what we also get with that is an ebook. I wrote a 50-page ebook, so you guys will read that. A lot of life story stuff in there, and you're going to get a digital daily planner that's going to help you track not only your spiritual journey in your readings, but your takeaways, like a self-assessment. What's your self-assessment for today? Let's start with your strengths. What's some things you kick some butt in? What's some things that are honestly your weaknesses? And what's your aim for the future? It tracks your meals, it tracks your water intake, it tracks your mood, because I think that's very vital for us to track our moods, because we need to move past our feelings. So when you look at you're like, I feel like crap Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then when I get on, but you're still standing, bro. You did that. God led you. Let's fly, man. So those are the things that I'm just passionately working on right now, and hopefully start seminary school soon. I'm about to get ordained. My paperwork's already in. I've already worked with the pastor. He has to bless it. So if you want the Red Ranger to marry you, let's go, baby. I can marry you. How cool would that be, right?
So definitely check them out. Let them know where they can find you at one more time.
Yeah, you guys can find me at Andrew Gray. That's Gray on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. I think I just changed it to Andrew HQ because it means Andrew's headquarters. You can also in the bio or go to at the Superhero U, and that's just a U, like kind of like an S, but like a U, the Superhero U. Or if you just want to email me, you can do that too, which is Andrew at nightowls.biz.
And heroes, villains, like always, man, don't forget to love yourself, pass that love on, and love others. And if nobody told you so, man, just know your boy love you. We're signing out. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, man. We got a whole bunch of more Power Ranger content coming on the show. This has been our episode with Andrew Gray. Thank you so much, my brother, for coming on. And heroes, villains, we signing out.
Sing it with me, pretty.